Robert England here, a.k.a. Freddy Krueger, and you're listening to Toxic Radio. Check it out or die slow.
Hey guys, dating life gone pretty shitty?
I find you so creepy, I think you should have to walk around with a bell around your neck.
Finding yourself getting a little desperate for some female companionship?
Alexa, tell me you love me.
Hell no. You disgust me.
What you need is to upgrade your style right now. The Toxic Store's got exactly what you need. Pick up some stylish gear featuring Deviant Gamer, Toxic Radio, and the Heavy Metal Happy Hour.
Oh, yeah!
You can find the store through the Toxic Radio app or toxicradio.net. Get in the game.
Do I make you horny, baby?
Get yourself a little love.
That guy's getting boobies.
Yeah, he is.
Toxic Radio and the Toxic Store. Don't buy it safe. Buy it toxic.
What's up, everyone? This is Jeremy from Five Finger Death Punch, and you're listening to Toxic Radio. Don't play it safe, play it toxic.
Okay, we all know shit's getting pretty weird recently.
Real wrath of God type stuff.
Exactly.
Fire and brimstone coming down from the skies. Rivers and seas boiling.
40 years of darkness, earthquakes, volcanoes.
The dead rising from the grave.
Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together. Mass hysteria.
Well, maybe not all that bad. But people are stuck at home, we're disinfecting everything in sight, and there's no damn toilet paper.
None of this makes sense.
But here's one thing you can count on. Toxic Radio will be here, rocking on with great music and as many of your favorite shows as possible, like the Heavy Metal Happy Hour and Supreme's Funky Contradiction. And of course, nothing can stop the hair metal weekends. So keep it right here with Toxic Radio, and we'll see you through to the other side of this mess. In the meantime, this is the whole crew at Toxic Radio saying, stay safe, stay healthy, and keep rocking. This is one time it's okay to play it safe, but never with your music. Always play your music toxic.
Hi, it's Steve Morrison from the President Steve Show, and you're listening to Toxic Radio. Get infected like you would with a cheap hooker.
We are live, Hungry for Hope podcast. Your co-host, Reckless Donnie Hart, and I got my co-host with me. Co-host?
We already know. Big time Tim Country.
And we have live in the studio. He stopped by. He's moving around because got a lot of sports on, but we got him right now. He'll be around. We got Yianni the Greek. Yianni, how we doing? All right, Yianni the Greek's here, and we will be having Yianni don't have a mic, and I don't have any. Well, anyway,
no, you're right. Busy day in sports Philadelphia here,
Yianni.
But I carved out some time for you fellas.
Yianni right? Carved out some time. What a beautiful thing.
Thanks for gracing us with your presence, bud.
Hey, no problem.
I thought running numbers, you would have so much less time. But we also have a great guest.
Very great.
Oh yeah.
He'll be on any minute. We got Frankie Meeink. I'm saying his name right. Yeah, we got Frank. He'll be calling in. A lot of people know about him. His story's amazing. He has the book he wrote, Autobiography of a Recovering Skinhead, and everybody knows what was it? Edward Norton role in American History X was loosely based on this guy's life.
Great movie.
He's amazing. We get killer guests. I don't know. We can do it, and we get good guests.
Shout out to Yianni for getting all our guests.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm here for. You guys you needed some help, all right? So you called on the Greek, and there you go.
But
I'll just take all the credit from Donnie's work. You know?
But Yianni,
that's what I do.
Yianni, you haven't had a movie loosely based on your life yet.
Right.
Yet.
Yeah, I think they're filming.
What was that one with Adam Sandler recently? Was that was on you?
Oh, 8 Crazy Nights.
No, I was thinking Uncut Gems, or no, what was that one?
Well, we're waiting for the story to play out. Bookie gets killed by a hooker. And that's
the Pool Shark Pete story.
Yeah, Pool Shark Pete. I'm still getting calls from that guy's lawyer. That was our one guest. Yeah. He asked a guy one question, but anyway, no more hooker stories, and Yianni, we're a Frank calling in any minute. The Flyers, man, that's the hottest thing going on right now.
Absolutely.
They're 3-1, right? They're playing tonight at 8, and they win and they go on to tell us
win and they move on. That's right. 3-1 against Carolina, the Carolina Hurricane. Sorry about that. I'm still on the wrong game against the Montreal Canadiens. Bruins just won, by the way. So
my girlfriend Meeink says they're going to lose this game. They go on to win in 6.
Says the Flyers.
Yeah.
Well, listen. I mean, we've seen that Montreal played tough, but they got frustrated beyond belief in that last game. I think. Carter Hart now 2 straight shutouts, and there was like visible frustration on the side of the Canadians. It was hilarious. They're slashing and hitting Flyers players.
It has to be because Carter Hart's 22.
I mean, he's been a stone wall out there. Man.
That got to kind of take your confidence, right?
Ever since game 2,
he's a nobody.
Modern day Dominic Rousseau.
I mean, I don't know what happened in that game 2. I was coming out at the dentist. We're walking down, running down to AC, which, by the way, I recommend you don't do those 2 things in succession. But
what were you doing at your dentist? Taking some bets or something? What do you mean?
Yeah,
is that one of your clients?
I had a procedure that I had to take care of, and
you had to go for pain management.
Sure, right, and then I went down to AC to make some mistakes there, and of course that happened.
Your life.
But besides that game too, the Flyers have looked dominant, and they've looked like they're the better team in this series, and let's try to finish it out tonight.
All right, Yianni, I think we might. Toxic Mike, do we got Frank on the?
We got the guest.
We got the guest, Yianni. We're gonna get back to you, but the guest of honor, we're bringing on Frankie Meeink live. Frank,
how you doing? Can you hear me good?
Yeah, we can hear you great, brother.
All right, so you pronounce it. Here's the funny thing: you pronounce my last name as every man will say. You pronounce it like the animal, and every woman will say you pronounce it like the coat. It's just Meeink.
Meeink.
So, but every time a woman ever says, "How do you say your name?" I say Meeink. She goes, "Oh, like the coat." And every time a man says, "How do you say your name?" I say Meeink. They go, "Oh, like the animal." Isn't that cool?
Frank,
I thought
I'm horrible at words, Frank. So your name could have been Smith, and I would have pronounced it wrong. I got a good left hook, but I don't do words.
Especially the ones that have the Y in it, right? Who does that? Why do you put the Y in that, Smith? You know what I mean?
My ex-wife.
It's crazy.
Is that why she's your ex?
Exactly.
We don't have enough time for that, Frank.
I thought this show was for hope.
Yeah, a little bit of hope. No, a lot of hope. Well, we got Frank Meeink. Frank, man.
Yep.
Thanks for coming. Where are you coming from? L.A., right?
L.A. now, yes, sir.
Of South Philadelphia.
Yeah, man. I've been blessed. I lived in Des Moines, Iowa for like 15 years and coached hockey there. So, I mean, I've been out of Philly since I was about 28 after I got married and kind of jet out of the city. But, still grew up and raised my life there. So.
You still miss it? You still follow? We got a lot of sports going on. The Sixers are on right now. The Flyers, you a fan? I know you're big with the Flyers.
Yeah, diehard Flyers, diehard hockey fan, period. You know, in my life, I've gotten to now work for the Anaheim Ducks. I work for the Dallas Stars. I work for the AAA Minnesota Wild. So I'm just a hockey guy.
What do you do for them? What do you do for them? Play forward, goalie, or?
Yeah, no, I used to do video coaching. So I got real good at breaking down games on video and shit. So I did that in like AHL for the AHL teams. And yeah, man, got to stand on the bench for some semi-pro roller. I coached roller for a long time, so.
That's awesome. Did you grow up playing roller hockey? I know, what's that big park on 2nd and Jackson? You from around there?
Yeah, that's Burke. That's where I'm from. That's Burke Park.
Yeah, man, I lived on 2nd and Porter for a little bit. I used to go down there and, drink some beer and watch everybody play hockey.
Yeah, absolutely. Richie Wooten. I don't know if you know that name. There's a guy down there named Richie Wooten who's like a legend.
Yeah.
A legend.
No, I'm very good. But,
Philly boy, born and raised, lived right next to the stadiums. I mean, when I was a kid, I lived close enough to the vet stadium that when you would watch a game as a kid, you would hear the crowd cheer before you see what happened on TV. You know what I mean? I used to love that as a kid. I grew up, you knew if Randall made the pass. You would see scrambling and you would hear, oh, and then you would hear in the crowd, yeah. So you would still see the scramble on TV because it had like a 5-second delay. And you still see Randall Cunningham. You know he threw the pass because you're like you already heard the crowd, so you're waiting for it. It was the best, man. It's a great way to grow up.
That's awesome, man.
It takes me back to tailgating. Remember when we could tailgate and stuff?
Yeah.
That was cool.
Yeah.
I mean, we could hear tailgaters talking. That's how close we were.
That's awesome.
That's awesome, Frank. But Frank, a lot of people know about you. You travel the world doing speaking or the country or whatever you want to call it. Tell us a little about yourself, man, besides being from South Philly and a diehard Flyers fan.
All right, let me break it down. So, my dad is actually from Southwest Philly. My mom liked the bad boy drug dealer, and that was my dad. My dad was this little Italian Rocky Balboa lookalike guy up on like 67th and Buist, all up around that area, the Woodland Avenue. That's where I was born and raised. At first was in Woodland Avenue, but my mom anyway fell for the bad boy. She was an Irish girl from 2nd Street. She gets knocked up by the Dago, my dad, and has to go home after a couple of years because they can't get sober, neither of them. So my mom goes back to live with her parents, who changed my last name. I got to 2nd Street. They changed my last name. So I was born and raised a Bertolini, my dad's last name. We moved to the Irish neighborhood again on 2nd Street. And the church and my parents and family were like, probably shouldn't have that Dago last name in this neighborhood. So they gave me my mom's old maiden name just to have, which Meeink isn't even Irish, but as long as it's not Italian, it was cool,
How crazy
so that's how
I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah, I'm like 5 or 6 years old. I got an identity crisis. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, my mom, we were on welfares. We got food stamps, and we lived I lived closer to like 4th and Snyder, around that area. So I was even the lower class of the Irish. It's rough. I mean, it's like
rough. It's still rough now. I know like 7th and Snyder. Yeah.
When I was like 10 years old, man, I seen a guy get shot right at 6th and Snyder. Like I was walking my buddy up to his tutor one day after school, and it just changes right there. That was where our change was. We lived in a couple of houses. And anyway, we're walking up there, man. I seen this dude's, another guy money, and the dude just pulled out a gun and shot him right in front. We were like, holy shit, right?
Yeah.
So, I grew, we grew up on welfare, and I used to have food stamps, and I used to have to go to the store with food stamps, and I was so embarrassed of that as a kid. You walk around and because as soon as you pull out the food stamps, because you had to rip them out of the booklet to give them to the person, or they wouldn't take them because they think you sold them or stole them. So you had to like rip them out in front of the booklet, in front of the cashier to give to them. And man, every time I did that, man, the hottest girl in my neighborhood would come walking in that door, and that's embarrassing, man. You're not balling when you're pulling out a 5 fucking food stamp. Oh, sorry. So you're pulling out a 5 food stamp, So, but I was cool, but I knew me and my mom struggled. I knew my mom didn't have a lot of money. I tried not to ask for a lot of things. I tried to be a respectful kid. She had some boyfriends off and on, and then finally this one boyfriend stuck, and he was an Irish guy from down like 2nd and Reed, and he didn't like that I was Italian, and he didn't like a lot of stuff about me. He didn't like that my mom had a relationship before, that type of thing. So he told me he was going to beat the Italian out of me, and he tried pretty regularly. So I'll tell you that what makes it hard for me sometimes is when I think about when I used to walk from Sharswood Elementary School, which is on 2nd and Wolf, and I would walk to my house on 4th and Tree. By the time I got to 4th Street, I'd always plotted to get hit by a car. That was my goal for the day. Because my stepdad was always home. And my mom sometimes wouldn't be home when I got home from school. Just he would be home because he was always out of whatever. And I didn't want to walk in that house anymore. So I used to plan at 4th Street for a car to come hit me. And I would kind of look and see like a small car. I didn't want to get killed here. I didn't want to break. I just wanted to bruise and go to the hospital for the night, So I picked like a Yugo or something small. And I would go out to go hit by the car. In my brain, this natural, just my, I don't want to harm myself, So my brain would kick in and make me get out of the way of the car every time. And I swear every time I wanted to get hit by the car. And every kid in my neighborhood has been hit by cars 3 times over. I'm the only kid in the neighborhood who wants to get hit by a car, and I can't get hit by a car. Like, I'm the only kid. I mean, everyone on my street got hit by cars. And it's always your cousin, 2nd Street. It's always your cousin that ran you over. You can't sue them. You just got to shut up and go,
That's crazy, though. That just tells you how things... Yeah. Life was so crazy that you wanted to get hit by a car. That speaks volumes. I'm sure you can look back at it now. It wasn't easy back then, but you can look back how crazy that is, right? Nobody should have to live like that.
Yeah, from 10 to 13, man, I'll tell you that's every day going home. And I was always getting in trouble at school now. I mean, I was fist fighting at school. I'm getting the crap beat out of me. I'm always, I'm the troubled kid at school. I'm the kid that the parents said, don't hang out with that kid. You know what I mean? So... and they got more and more worse. And so anyway, my stepfather finally got me kicked out of the house at 13. I moved up with my dad back to Southwest Philly, rough part of the city. And I had to go to an all-black school, Pepper Middle School, which they later on closed due to the violence at Pepper. And I went there, there's maybe over 1,000 students there, and maybe 20 of us were white. Not 20%, just 20 of us. And, and I got there in the middle of the school year, my first year. I was a little punk rock skater kid from South Philly going to this all. Like, I stood out. I mean, I got, jumped. I got fist fought all the time. It was a rough track from school to my dad's house. I stopped going to school altogether. I missed the last 40 days of school, and this tells you how great the Philadelphia school district was. I was a seventh grader who was probably a D student at best, and then from there, I got from when I went to that school, they just basically transferred me up, and then I stopped going to school and missed the last 40 days, and they wound up graduating me to 8th grade, and I missed the last 40 days of school. so that summer just right.
I read that in your book.
Great.
I remember somebody's. I don't know if I told you, Frank. I actually read your book. I read your book when I was going through some hard times myself. I was locked up, and I remember a lot of the stuff you're saying about it. It's just crazy as you're saying it. I'm like, I think that was in the book. I think this,
right.
It's crazy. Your book had a big impact, though. I liked it, man. I want to hear more.
Thank you. So that summer, I got to get out of the city, and I went up to Lancaster, Pennsylvania, with my cousins. And now they had just moved up from South Philly. They were on my mom's side of the family. We go up there, and I'm up by myself now. I go up there just to visit them. And my cousin is kind of into this neo-Nazi thing. He used to be a skateboarder punk rocker, so I kind of followed him into that movement too. And he was just my older cousin. He moved from Philly. He'd been kind of bummed out since his parents took him from South Philly up to Amish country. I mean, on their road, they were like the only normal people. And I don't mean to knock Amish people, but to me as a kid, they weren't normal. And so I went up there and started hanging out, and all these neo-Nazis used to come over his house and come hang out and drink. And I was like 13 going on 14. These guys were 16, 17-year-old dudes, and they were just super cool to me. And I kind of just them asking me, what's it like being around black people? Because they never really were around black people. And I swear to you, they would start talking about black people and black people issues. Like my cousin would always point out, like, you want to know anyone that knows something, ask my little cousin right here. And they would come over and be like, is it really true? Is it like this? I'll even tell you, there was a girl one time who tried to confront me in front of all the guys one day. She just was tired that I was getting attention and she wasn't. So she came over all drunk, and she was like, so you're going to tell me you take the bus with black people every day? And I'm sure she didn't say the word black, but she was like, you're going to tell us you take the bus with black people every day? And I'm like, yeah, chick, I live in West. Yes, I take the L train to get to school. I take the trolley. But you think about it. If I spinned her around, sat her down, and said, so tell me, you see Amish people every day? Every day you see Amish people? Because it's perspective of living. So these guys thought I was interesting, and I liked talking with them. And I'll tell you, man, it just felt good. It felt good because if I walked in my parents' home, they never asked me how was my day. They never asked me about how was school today? How was basketball? I played all sport. I tried to play every sport I could if I had money for it, but I mean, we were broke, so I played, school baseball, and I was always achieving great things in sports as a kid. And my parents just one time these guys had to pay my way onto a Pop Warner football team because my parents just didn't have the money or didn't give a shit. So anyhow, hanging around them guys, I went to a concert with them one night, man, and I just seen how people were so scared of the neo-Nazis. And there was a bigger clique, guys I didn't know that were meeting up at this concert. So they all know each other, but I don't know anybody. I only know my cousin's friends. And we're all hanging out, and they're beating.
I want to get a picture, not to stop you. I cut off sometimes. I'm sorry.
Sure, no, please stop me. It's your show. I'm here to be of service to you.
You're the man, Frank. What are these neo-Nazis? Give her. What do they look like? Do they, are they in the movies? Do they have like a swastika? They shaved heads. They got the Doc Martens. What are they? Are they noticeable or?
Yeah. No, great. I should paint the picture a little bit better. You're absolutely right. No, they are. They're all Doc Martened up. They're in flight jackets. Even in the summertime, they wear flight jackets. You know what I mean? Always wearing suspenders, tattoos, swastikas, Confederate flags. You name it. That's what they're wearing. And none of them were Amish, by the way, because I said Amish earlier. I don't want people to think, oh, is there Amish skinheads? Absolutely not. They're peaceful people.
Are you calling the Amish neo-Nazis, Frank?
The neo-Nazis, just to be clear, use electricity.
They'll kill you, but they won't use your electric bill.
That's right.
All right, back to you're at the concert, right?
Yeah, man, and I'm just hanging out with all these guys. And I remember the bigger guy that was there that night, this bigger neo-Nazi, put me on his shoulders. And when we got into the club, he's punching and kicking people, and I'm on this big dude's shoulders like a baby, like Kevin Hart, like this little dude up on this guy's, and they're holding people, and I'm kicking them. And man, that's like, it felt good. Yo, when I was outside with all these guys and everyone feared them, and I seen that look of fear in people's eyes, yo, I loved it. Because you got to think, up until that point, I might be almost a 14-year-old athletic kid who can fight. Like you say, you got a left hook. I was born to throw a right hook. I have the nastiest counter punch in the world. It's a right hook, like a Bernard Hopkins in a way. So anyway, bring up another Philly name.
Executioner.
I love him. Love my favorite boxer of all time.
Yeah,
So
we were hanging out with him not long ago. Tim's involved in pro boxing. We'll get to that later. But all right, go.
Wow, you just dropping
White Bernard
names
Hopkins.
like that, eh, homie?
Nah,
You're dropping names like that.
He wouldn't even say hi to me. He's like, "Oh, look at this clown."
I got you. I love him, man. I do. I love his whole story. So, so now, when people feared me, and I think they fear me because I'm with these guys, you got to know, man. That's up until that point in my life, I feared everything, man. I feared my school. I feared my parents. I still fear my step parents. I fear my neighbor. I fear if I'm going to have enough food to eat today. And now someone's going to fear me. I bet I'm in, right? And then these guys asked me to shave my head that night. I was like, absolutely. And then I was like, this is my family. My family had thrown me away. My dad didn't want me back no more. I'm 13. My mom and her new husband don't want me back. I mean, I'm really literally on the streets, and these guys take me in. See, a lot of people that get into this neo-Nazi stuff, and I'm not knocking nobody else's story. A lot of them always say, like, they were suburban white kids. And you say, why'd you? And then now they're out of it, you know? And they say, well, why'd you ever get in? They're like, I just wanted to piss people off. I'm like, yo, I just wanted to survive.
Bro,
you know, and that's why I adapted. You know?
I feel you.
I just wanted to do.
I'm sorry, Frank. Go ahead, finish.
No, you go, man. It's your no, go, please. You go.
Nah, I was the same way with the people when I was growing up, with the people I grew up with, right? That's how I started my story with Hungry for Hope. Because I grew up with certain people, different kind of atmosphere, but it was the same way. Like, I felt that bond, that family kind of community type thing, and it was just, I get what you're saying, 100%.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's that one little time that you think that they care. You know, that they feel that this other group or people care about you. Man, and now I got to learn things. And let me tell you, I had gotten neighborhood racism, right? You live in South Philly, you live in South. You fight the black kids, you fight the Latino, you fight the Puerto Rican kids. You play basketball against them, you play football against them, and you fist fight them every couple Fridays when a guy gets too drunk, right? I mean, that's my racism that I grew up with. It wasn't this organized neo-Nazi racism. But there was one thing that I used to hear people say, and that was like, people would say stuff like, oh, Johnny tried to Jew me today. And I never got the joke as a kid. I remember hearing people laugh, and I didn't get the joke. Asked my uncle one day, what's that mean? Like, why do you say this about Johnny? Or, you know, so-and-so Jewed me today. And I was like, I didn't get it. So he started to tell me. He sat me down and he said, Frank, the Jews are notorious for, you know, he started telling me about money. He's like, they're kind of this notorious. And he's like, you know what? It's a really good joke. You'll get it when you're older. When I was in my first neo-Nazi meeting, I remember this moment. I remember the guy that was speaking. I remember what he was talking about. This man started to get up in front of this table, and I just shaved my head. It's probably a week later. And this guy says, the Jews are siphoning money off the Federal Reserve, and it's this organization, this government called ZOG, the Zionist Occupational Government. It's this conspiracy government that is run by Jews that steal money from the government, and they siphon it off to give it to Israel so they can start the next world war. While this man's telling me this, and again, I don't know anything about Jews. I grew up in an all-Irish neighborhood. When he was saying that stuff, I remember thinking, I get the joke. Yo, I got the joke. Like, I must be older now. I must be what my uncle said I would be. And so I remember feeling proud that, like, I figured that out. Remember, I'm a 13 going on 14 at this time. I was probably 14 right at this time. A young 14. So to know what the adults know who have left me to fend for myself, I want to know everything they know because I'm ready to go back and debate with them. I became a pundit for the movement in that moment. And what I mean by a pundit, like a Sean Hannity, is they don't read information. They don't read information like on a newspaper article just to get the information. They only read it for ammunition in an argument. And that's what I became. And everything I read was to back up my arguments. And so every time I'd be around the adults in my life, they would say something. I'd be like, well, that's the Jews' fault. And my people are like, you're all Irish Catholic. You're like, what are you talking about? You know, and I'd be like, well, blah, blah, blah. And I'd have like all this new information that I'm just jamming at people. And then my uncles would try to stop me and say, well, what about, and I would shut them down. Like, I was really good at it. And the neo-Nazis started to notice that. If you go look back, I got to do like 3 television shows when I was a neo-Nazi. Like, I go get picked by the elders or even just other people to be like, well, here, put Frankie on because he kind of knows what he's saying sometimes, and he's not so crazy sometimes. Even though a couple other shows I did with no eyebrows.
You had what do you have, the television or the television show? What was it called? The Reich or the Reich?
The Reich, yeah, Hitler's Reich. Yeah, that was later on.
Where was that
this
out?
Is me doing prime time.
That was before.
That was like the TV shows I did for the movement. I did TV shows for like ABC News, night.
You were like the poster child.
Nightline. I did. Yeah, and I had a big tattoo right on I still have it on top of my head. I still have it. If you ever see some of the old videos of me, it says "Made in Philly" right across the top of my head. I mean, it's still there. I just got my hair over it now. But I love that tattoo. It's one of my ones I'll never get removed or taken off because even if I go bald, I still was made in Philly. It's not a lie. It's where my parents had intercourse. I mean, I'm not lying about that stuff.
You're not a liar, Frank.
No, and this is the first part that came out my mom. You know what I mean? So "Made in Philly" right there, stamped right on there. So my mom tells me that was the first part. I hope so.
Shit, mine was the feet.
What?
I said
they smack your ass?
So there you are, the poster child of neo-Nazism in Lancaster.
Yeah.
What a weird, I would never think of that.
And now I'm moving around. Now I'm moving all around. I'm going from Bucks County, Pennsylvania. I'm going down to Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
You're meeting other neo-Nazis or?
Yeah, living in compounds because I really had no other place to go, and I really wanted to believe all this stuff. So, I mean, I truly did believe this. I would go to Bible studies truly believing God wanted me to ruin Sodom and Gomorrah. And I always put it to you this way now, I figured my life out, or I'm helping hopefully figure my life out, is that I grew up with a very punishing Irish Catholic God. I'm not knocking Catholicism. Just the brand that I thought I was taught. So let me put it out that it's not no one's fault but my own on how I conceived Catholicism. But I never felt any different. I never felt, but I had this whole thing where if I stubbed my toe and I cried to my Irish grandmom, she'd say, God punished you. And I'd be like, but I didn't do anything. He knows you're going to do something. So I'm always punished by God. Like I'm never going to get anything good. It's either pre-punish me or post-punish me for something I don't even know what I did yet. Right. And that's the kind of the way I fed into Catholicism. And there's great people to have Catholicism. So I'm not knocking religion. When I would go up to these Bible studies and these men are telling me that Eve started this whole thing because she didn't just take of a piece of fruit, that Eve went and had sex with the serpent that came up to her to trick her to have the fruit, which was sex. And he impregnates her with Cain. Cain later on kills Abel, who's Adam and Eve's real son. And that Cain is the first evil Jew on the planet. And that's why they say the Jews are the seed of Satan due to that story. And I was like, God wants me on this team? Like, I'm down, man. I mean, holding guns at a Bible studies. And I was like, this is what life is about.
Yeah, you're a soldier of God.
That's it. There's a documentary I'm in. It's called Soldiers of God. I'm in that documentary. You know what I mean? It's crazy. Yeah. And then I start traveling around. I get a lot of warrants for my arrest. I was in and out of juvie hall in Philly. I'd be the only.
We all been there.
I'd be the only white kid. I was up there. There was only like one Fishtown white kid and me. And they make you keep your clothes that you got arrested in. I had 20 high Doc Martens, a white jacket with a swastika and a Confederate flag on it, and I had to wear that thing every day.
Hey, how you doing? I'm Frank. I'm Frank, your local neo-Nazi.
They sent me to Slayton Farms, and thank God, because up there in Slayton Farms, I was able to. I played football, and the Puerto Rican kids loved me because I played on their team, and we beat the black kids for like the first time ever. It was a whole big thing. We had a talent show at Slayton Farms. I'll tell you this: we had a talent show, and this is no lie. Slayton Farms was.
Now, people don't know yet. Tell people about Slayton Farms. Not everybody.
So Slayton Farms is now, it's on one of the haunted America list. You go to the old Slayton Farms. It's outside of, it's right up by Exington, Pennsylvania, I believe. It's right by one of the malls. I knew that. So they would bring you up there, and it's this old farm, and it just got houses built on it, big old brick houses, and they fit about 50 kids in each house.
How do you get in a place like this? By doing the right thing, or is it like a church group?
So I'm in there on the first ever gay bashing case in Philadelphia County.
Oh, you were on
there. So on the first, I was
innovator.
The innovator.
Yeah. I was real trendsetter. So
I was like that for heroin, so it's all good, Frank.
All right, I mean, So that's what I was in there on. So I'm like fighting this first ever like hate crimes, new laws type thing. But this was this gay bashing, and I wound up getting thrown out. And it was lawyers being lawyers. That'll tell you another time, man. I was locked up in there on Easter, and it was for like 3 months leading up to Easter, and every day, because I could have went home at any time. My mom just had to come get me. All my other defendants all going home in 2 or 3 days from being arrested. I'm in there 3 months. My mom's promised me every day she's coming to get me. She never showed up, dude. 4 months.
That was in your book. I remember that was in your book.
Talk about just not feeling wanted sometimes as a child. As a human being, I don't feel who wants this kid, right? Except for the neo-Nazis. And so I'm buying into it completely. Like I'm becoming like a Timothy McVeigh in my brain. And he wasn't even around at the time. Like that's not even a thought yet. Yeah. But I'm telling you that the way I was running and the people I was running with, this isn't just like a little American History X. Like I was running with people that were robbing banks. I went to prison for kidnapping. Like,
been there,
I didn't go.
I've been there, unfortunately.
Yeah, and it was my rival gang member. It was a rival kid that was against me. Anyhow, when I went up to, so I started going on after I got out of juvie hall in Philly. I kept getting more and more warrants for my arrest because I'm a criminal and I'm a thug and I'm an egomaniac with no self-esteem and I'm an alcoholic. I was born and raised an alcoholic. I'm a mummer. I'm a mummer. Yeah. Of course, I'm an alcoholic, right?
Makes sense.
Thank you.
Two street strut.
2 Street, baby, 2 Street. So man, shit. So I started moving around, and I got out all the way out to. By this time, I get all the way out to like Terre Haute, Indiana, where I get put in a mental hospital for trying to kill myself. I'll let people read the story. I don't want to go into the whole story, but I wound up escaping in a very dramatic, crazy way, which has been verified and back-checked over 15 times. Because when we first wrote that story, nobody believed the story was true until the hospital finally said. It's absolutely true. That incident has changed.
Definitely got to Google
it. Said it changed.
It's in your book. Yeah. Autobiography of a Recovering Skinhead. They can read that, right?
I'm ordering one.
Yeah. And in the back, we talk about the fact-checking process just because at the same time I'm writing my book, James Fry is getting called out.
Oh, that's Gumbag. Yeah, he's a... I read his book. He's a liar.
Yeah. And I was getting the 12 steps at the time, and I remember I was active in my program when I first read that book. And for like maybe the first time too, and I remember reading it. And I remember
Million Little Pieces, right?
Yeah. He put down the 12 steps a bunch of times in the book.
I read that book.
Yeah. So that book, he just got called out like the week we started writing my book. Like we'd already had a schedule. We're all meeting Terre Haute, Indiana. And the minute I got in the car with my writer, she goes, "You see what happened on Oprah?" And I was like, "Absolutely." She goes, "That ain't gonna happen to us, is it?" I'm like, "Nope." She goes, "One lie, and I'm out of here, Frank." And I was like, "Let's go." And we just went.
I did my homework on you, Frank. I hate liars. Liars are up there with the worst people. If you're willing to lie, you could be a child molester. You could be a snitch. Liars are like, that's a trait for being a horrible person. I did my homework on all of our guests. You're not that from what I've seen. Yeah. You're the farthest thing from. You're true. You're you.
Yeah, I'm real. Real knows real. It's the best thing I always hear from people that are real from me. They're always like, "Man, you're real," So. It just is. Real is real. And I don't try to make myself sound so glorious because, again, I just talked about how I was an egomaniac with no self-esteem, with an alcoholic problem that was just full of fear as a child and as an adult, as growing into my adulthood. And it's that's just what it is. All neo-Nazis are full of fear. Anyone that is a racist is full of fear. They're afraid someone's going to take what's theirs. That's just the way it is. And so, and ego, once I have ego, I think I can go to Bible studies and learn about shooting guns and Jewish people. Like, that's definitely what God wanted me to do, right?
That was a
Bible
study?
That's definitely being of service. And we do that at Bible studies.
Yeah,
it was a Bible
study. That makes sense.
Yeah. The Jews, the Bible, the
Old Testament. I think we went to different churches, Frank.
They didn't give out a piece of bread at that church.
Yeah. I kind of want to see that Bible.
Yeah, it's just read differently, man. It's the same exact. Well, they're not all, the New Testament.
Yeah, but anybody can look at something and get their own perspective.
Absolutely. Are you full of fear and anger when you read the book? Then you're going to find stuff that backs up that you should go smite people with a sword. If you read that you want to be a compassionate, loving human being, you'll read it and read what the Bible is truly about, and that is service to others, and that is it.
That's crazy.
Praying to God, thanking Him.
you're big into it now. God, I see your sign, but you're reading that same book that you used to read and you used to see something completely different because I guess you were filled with hate. And now you read the same book, nothing changed. They didn't rewrite the Bible, and you look at it a different way. That says a lot.
It depends on what kind of mind frame I'm in, and where do I want to be in life, and who do I want to be. So let's get back to the story, because then we'll get to hopefully the spiritual awakening, which is obviously the message. I'll just say that I went to Springfield, Illinois. I started this cable access television show. I got about 40 skinheads in this.
What was the name of the show?
The Reich, like Hitler's, like the Third Reich.
Yeah. I knew. I just made you say it again.
We made 2 episodes of it. The second episode I was arrested at. That's where they arrested me, at my own television show in Springfield, Illinois, the capital of Illinois. Also,
that's Abraham Lincoln, right?
Dude, they love that dude there. Yeah. Everywhere he goes.
Honest Abe, brother.
You can get anything on TV, huh?
Yeah.
In Illinois, you can.
No, I killed it on there. What are we talking about? Man, we got ratings and everything, dude. On cable access, dude. We did skits. Yo, we were like the racist Wayne's World, dude. We did little skits and stuff. And we had it go on, bro.
Party on!
Yeah. Yo, I'm 17 years old, living on my own.
So let me get this picture. Let's get this picture.
Paint this picture, please.
All right, so here we are in Springfield, Illinois, birthplace of Abraham Lincoln. We got young Frankie Meeink. You're 17. You're one of the leading neo-Nazis, and you got a show. The Reach. How do you say that word? I know it's the
Reich.
The Reich.
The Reich.
You know what it was.
And then second episode, the cops bust in and arrest you for what? Kidnapping?
Yeah, for the kidnapping charge.
They'll draw a short straw sometime.
Yeah. So there you are. 17 years old. A long way from South Philly there, brother.
Long way. And now I have to learn about the Chicago gang system.
Were they feds
Jesus Christ.
Who was it? Was it feds or?
No, it was state. I got a state charge. Let me just tell you, I didn't know the whole realm of how deep the gangs went until I got in my first state prison. And my cellie was a guy who was in a gang called the Gaylord. I had a big swastika on my neck, so I get into prison. I'm safe.
Gaylord,
I'm safe from the Gaylord.
Yeah.
Nobody's messing with me, and no one did. I mean, I got stabbed once, but that was over a stupid fight. And
it happens.
But I mean, seriously, like I never worry. And people are always like, "Didn't you worry about getting?" No, I mean, I seriously. Every time I took a shower, I was in there with 10 guerrilla bikers. You know what I mean? And they were my boys, and we just it was I was very knowledgeable in this movement, and these guys kind of protected me, and they took an honor in protecting me. I swear to you, they used to tell me, they're like, "It's cool protecting you," like. Because I was the guy with the TV show. Now I'm in prison, and they all know me. You know what I mean? So it's crazy.
That's crazy, man.
So I learned about the gang system. I've ganged about the folk nation and people nations and the gangster disciples and the vice lords. And I mean, you name it. I went and I learned just in the fastest style you can. And within the time I was, midway through my time, man, I could.
It's crazy, right?
Throw up all the gang time. It's crazy.
I lived on Murder Block for a couple years, unfortunately.
Shout out to Larry Hoover.
Yeah, when I got on the block, they're like, "Oh, you're on the Murder Block," and I'm like, "I didn't kill anybody." They're like, "Well, you probably should have."
You better start right now.
Yeah, and I'm there with all and I'm 120 people. There's 3 white guys, and we're all sleeping in the same cell. And, I got a wake-up call. I was ex-pro wrestler. I thought I was hot shit. And, I fucked up pretty bad. And that's when I didn't realize how bad I fucked up until I walked on that murder block.
With that shaved head.
Wow.
I had no swastikas.
The funniest thing is you always know when you're in big trouble is when you have a public defender. That's why everyone goes to God. I want you to know, in prison, everyone goes to God, or jail, everyone goes to God because they got a public defender, and you need God on your side.
The worst part?
Or converts to Muslim.
Now imagine having a public defender, and then the public defender coming, and he knows you hate him already. He's like, he'd only call my name. He's like, Reckless, I got some good news and bad news. I'm no longer your lawyer. I'm thinking, great, somebody got me a lawyer. And they're like, and the bad news is your cellmate, the only other white guy on the block, he said you admitted to everything you did, and we represent him, so we can't represent you. So the state's gonna pay for a lawyer. Now, conflict of interest, he called it.
Yeah. They told him to get a deal.
Yep.
You know, the lawyer said, she might be able to help here.
Yeah, that was
Nate Downey's first
I know, I see
rodeo.
that.
Yes, that was horrible. Horrible. You know, I was like excited. I thought like he's like good news. I'm like, all right. But so I can relate to where you've been.
Yeah, and here's the one thing, like, there's no one that's ever gone to prison, because later on in life, I go on to go help the police. I do all their hate crimes training. I go on to do, that type of stuff. Nothing and there's no one in this world that can point and say, Frank Meeink said something that got me arrested. Because I do not want anyone, even neo-Nazis, if they aren't doing something to physically harm somebody, I don't want them in jail, no matter what their beliefs are. Like, we have 2.4 million people in prison in this country right now. Far more than any other country in the world.
Well,
so,
I think some of the
I don't want no one.
I think some of the research we did on you said the only person you ever snitched on is yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true words.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. So for me to get out of this neo-Nazi stuff, just to get back to the timeline.
We have no timeline. I'm an ex-professional wrestler convict with him, you know.
Frank, this is your show. We're just kind of hanging out.
I can't even spell podcast, you know. We're not as professional as we look.
We got about 35 minutes till puck drop, so we do have time.
Tim can't even tell time, so we're good.
I can't read.
Yeah. He's watching yesterday's game.
All right, so we're back.
So I and this is the part with sports, man. It's like I was this young neo-Nazi who is athletic, who's from the city. You know, I get into this prison. And I played ball with the white dudes. A lot of them were bikers. People that were Aryans, like my gang, they were all bikers. And the other white gangs had like some dudes that were from the city, urban Chicagoans, but not my gang. So mostly you do everything with your own gang all the time. So we go out and we play football, and I'm playing with these huge bikers, and you think I'd be scared, but they suck, and I'm super fast, and I know the game, and I know how to spin move, and I know how to rotate my ball when I know how to do it. I just grew up the game. And so I go play with them, and it wasn't fun. Whatever team I was on was going to win like 7 touchdowns to maybe 1 touchdown. I'd pick off the ball. It was just not fun playing with a bunch of bikers because, look, they can fix your transmission at 2 years old. They don't know how to cradle a football. They don't know how to dribble a basketball. It's like Chris Rock said, you got to let double dribbling go sometimes. You got to let traveling go. They're bikers. They're running with the basketball. You got to dribble. And you're like, whatever. So anyway, I wanted to start playing with some kids that knew how to play. I met this black kid, and this is where they get the kid in American History X. The kid's name was G, and I actually met him in the county jail after I did this. I skipped over a whole big part about me fasting, but not about when I started to turn to God in prison on my own. During that time, I got released from a certain cell block that I was on. I swear by prayer and by fasting and by acknowledging that God is everything or nothing at the time. Even though I wanted him to kill all the guards for me, that was my prayer and my meditation and my fast was I wanted him to kill all the guards and pop my door and let me go home on Monday. Mm-hmm. And he didn't do that, but he got me released from that. I was in the hold because of my age. They wanted to keep me there for own protection. Yeah. I was 17 in this prison waiting to go upstate and stuff. So they just kept me in the hole. And then he came to me after 4 months and was like, if they thought I was starving myself to death, I was actually just fasting and I couldn't tell them. Because it says you can't tell, you can't brag or boast, Mm-hmm. And anyway, on Monday, he came and got me, put me on general pop in the honors block of our jail. It was a huge county jail. Huge. 1,000.
Is it Chicago or?
No, this is Sangamon County, Central Illinois.
All right.
That's where I committed the crime. Anyway, I meet up. He winds up showing up at one of the state prisons I'm at. G did. And now
he was one of the characters. They made him an American History X, right?
Yeah, this guy, the kid this is like the guy that works in the laundromat with him.
Yeah.
And G, but it wasn't that. G actually, the first interaction with G was he taught me how to play spades, the card game. But he didn't teach me just how to play. He taught me how to cheat right away. Like he showed me like little hand signs, like this is what this means. I didn't know the game. Like I didn't know I ever played spades, right?
If he ain't, so he started showing me trying.
Yeah, he says like if he's tapping his finger right here, it means come in diamonds. If he has a fist, come in quad. Like little stupid things, right? No one thinks this Chicago black kid and this neo-Nazi. It's like white man can't jump. We just went around and played in all these spades tournament for peanut butter and jellies, and we just kicked everyone's. We just won. So
you were Woody Harrelson. You're Woody Harrelson. He was Wesley Snipes.
Yeah, but PB&J's are fucking
No, I was
delicious.
Wesley Snipes.
All right, brother, man.
So then I started playing dominoes, and I got really good at dominoes and just go little games like that. And so when I got upstate, me and him would always play in tournaments again. And because people didn't know, again, that we even know each other from the county jail. But by this time, everyone knows me and G are cool. Like, man, that dude just always had me laugh. And there was a whole crew of black kids I got along with. A
How
whole bunch
was
of
that,
white
though?
swords that were on my side.
Hold up. You know,
because I played
you're
sports.
a neo-Nazi.
I played
You had the show, the Reek or whatever. You know, how did you all of a sudden become... I'm not going to get it right, and I'm, you know.
You're right.
But,
right.
It's all right.
How did you become friends? Just, you know, didn't you hate these people?
In prison, it doesn't, I mean, as long as there's not a gang war or a race war going on, you kind of get along. We kind of sell drugs to each other all the time. I mean, we're always packing stuff up our rectum to bring out to the yard to trade with them. I mean, this is what you do in prison. And when there's no gang war going on, stuff's kind of cool. You know, like the black kids, the first time they let me play football, they just let me do kickoff return because they thought I was going to get hit really hard and I was going to quit. They didn't know I knew the game. My first kickoff return, I run the thing back because I'm like a little Wes Welker. You give me the ball, I'm tiny, and I hit the holes and I put nasty moves.
All right,
I mean, that's just really.
If given the opportunity, how many razor blades could you fit in your mouth?
Fitting in the mouth isn't the problem. It's fitting them in the rectum. That's where it's
So that was, you know, we're getting out of the rectum, we're getting out of the razor blades. So this was your first like experience really getting to know these people that looked like you, right? You know, you probably never sat down.
Yeah,
and
I mean, not really, because I grew up in West Philly. See, so that's what I mean. Like, I kind of had a little, but I mean, by that time, I mean, I had hated all black. I mean, for all the kids that jumped me and rolled on me and so many crappy things happened to me. I mean, I truly had a hatred for black kids. But when I started to realize something in there was, when they talked about riding on the L train, because there's an L also in Chicago, I knew what that was like. When they talked about being on food stamps and getting cheese, I knew what that was like. And that's what stuff G used to always talk. And G would make me laugh. G was, G is the only person that I mentioned in my whole book that has not gotten back to me. Other people know of G, but, random people throughout the years from prison have wrote in my publisher and been like, hey, I was in prison with this guy. And G's the only one that hasn't. And I think he's dead.
Frank.
I mean, I'm trying to make it dramatic.
He didn't? So you haven't heard from him? Or?
No, he never heard. I think he had such a big mouth, man. I mean, there were so many times people wanted to kill him. And he just said whatever he wanted to say. And he was about the same size as me. He's a little bit skinnier at the time. But man, he could tear you down with his mouth, boy. He'll make fun of everything you were wearing. And he'll be wearing the same thing you are, but he don't like the way you're wearing it. And you make you go home and cry. Right? So, and I just love sitting around with him because he didn't barely do it to me, except for he called me white boy once in a while, or he'd tell me that I would never be able to keep a girl anytime he's around. And that's the one part of American Strix. He used to always say, like, dude, she goes black, she ain't going back. Because my girl's just about to have a baby and stuff, so we talked about our girls. So, and that was the one true thing about the movie that did happen, those little conversations. But so that's how, like, the Aryans knew how good I was. They knew I was a very trash-talking sports player. So I'm playing football with these Aryans, and I'm killing them. And I'm talking trash the whole time because it's the way I've always played. I'm a talker. I'm an agitator. Like, it's my game. It's my style. And so, man, these
South
guys,
Philly,
yeah,
that's your style, man. You're tough, hard nosed.
So I would always stand up for myself. And these the white dudes used to always see the Aryans. They would see me play football. Now, again, I'm going to tell you, like, it wasn't like a full-on league. I think I probably played football 3 times in the year I was there because we were always on lockdown. You don't get Sunday yards all the time. So there was only but I played basketball probably twice a week with the same dudes I play football with, and dude, I could throw an alley-oop pass all day long. Like, I had guys on my team that were 6'6".
We got Scottie Pippen, Wes Welker. We got them all on our show.
They're not even on the same team.
Yo, this guy used to tell me 1 foot. He used to say, what did he say? 1 foot over, 1 foot down. He wanted me just to heave the ball like down court, 1 foot over from the rim, and 1 foot down so he can catch it and do an alley oop like from half the court.
I thought
and
you
he did
were
it like 2 or 3 times.
I thought you were going to say 10 toes.
No, he'd just say you go 1 foot over, 1 foot down because I meant the ball was right where he can grab it and go up and jam it in. So, man, we used to just, You know, and those guys would stick up for me when people would fail me. I had a big swastika on my neck, and I'm crossing people over. You know what I mean? Like, they're not real happy with me, and so I get the slap in the face. When you cross a guy over, that's the way you stop him. You slap him in the face. You can't cross back over because you slap him while he makes, you know. And
every
these guys
time you say that,
know,
I picture Allen Iverson. So it fucks me up.
Right. Yeah. And so, like, when I would do it, if I got to go cross him over, the dude just put his hand up, and you know, what are you going? You can only call fouls so limited in prison ball.
Yeah.
I mean, really. I mean, you know. So if you can with deliberate, you can really save. But man, anyway. So you know, the white dude just kind of watched me play, and you know, I would go to our meetings, and I would be the one spitting the knowledge, dude, about why they should hate Jews. When these white dudes were just hated black people because they're in prison with them and they're bikers. They have no reason why they hate Jews. They just like the swastika because it's a rebel thing with the bikers. You know what I mean? So it's just, I'm sitting there, I'm spitting out knowledge. Even the Muslims like me in jail. I mean, really, the Muslims like me because they heard this white boy who was speaking about the Jews, and they're like, oh, we kind of like him. And I worked with their main guy in the chow hall for a while, and we used to always rap about the Jews and about Malcolm X. I was, you know, and so it was cool, man. I mean, it isn't like everyone says, like, we don't ever talk. Like, I said the N-word in front of black people all the time back then. And that was crazy to think that. And I'll tell you that one of the last times, at least one of the last times that made me think, and this is it's horrible. I was in prison, and I'm with all my Aryans, and we're watching, here you go, more sports. Michael Jordan's father just got killed while I was in prison. I can tell you that. I don't know the exact date, but he was killed while I'm in prison, and we're watching the news coverage. And
his murderer just got let go.
Yeah,
actually.
they just offered him parole this week. His murderer, he's not out yet.
Really?
Yeah, he just got paroled to one.
Yo, how current with news am I, dude? How current am I?
I mean, you might have lucked into that one.
Yeah.
Really? You gonna try that one on me now? You gonna bring old stuff like that?
You believe this guy? Get him out of here.
Oh, come on, man. Curb stop. Come on. All right, so.
Going American History X on us, brother. All right.
So listen. I remember we were sitting around, and Michael Jordan's dad had got killed, and all the black dudes were like, especially the black Muslims, like Nation of Islam black Muslims, they were in there like, yo, Whitey killed him because Michael Jordan's so popular. Like, they were just going on and on with theories that were crazy, right? And I'm like arguing with one time, like, and then it turned out to be some black kids. And when that happened, I was sitting with my boys. Now, I've been arguing with black guys about this, so I've been heated about this little debate we've been having. And then it got proven true. And I looked at my Aryans, and I was like, see, just typical N-word, you know?
Yeah, we can't say that on the show, Frank.
No, I don't ever say that word. That word never. The word never comes out of my mouth. I overuse that word, and it's an abusive word. It's a word of violence, and I don't use it.
So when I changed my, what was one of the main points? Like, I've had my points where I changed my life around. I was fucking a terrible human being. Did terrible things.
Yeah.
Did horrible stuff. Yeah. But what was the main point? What was that come to Jesus moment that some people might say? But what was that moment that was just like, oh shit, I gotta change this?
Yeah, no. And this is. I say that. My boy G was there with his boys sitting on the other side of the day room, but I had said it loud enough. I mean, I just said it before. I would just say it, you know. And I looked over. I seen him later. I didn't even think about it. Later on, we're playing spades, and he's not cheating. He's not throwing back when I'm telling him to throw back. And then we get done, and we lost our money. And I went up, and I was like, "Yo, what's up with that?" And he goes, "Just typical N-words, you know." And he said the word to it, you know. He said, "Just typical N-words, huh?" And I was like, Oh my God. Like, that dude was like, for real. I talked to him about my daughter. He was the first dude I told my daughter was born. And now he says that I just affected him. That, from that day on, made me think of that word. And I think when my change happened only a year later, I think the word had kind of filtered through that, you know, I stopped you. And I'll be honest with you guys, and anyone will tell you, I don't say that. That word it's not out of my home. It's not. Now, I love hip hop. I love Meek Mill. I love Nipsey Hussle. When I sing songs with her and that word is in it, I say either ninja or nickel. And that's the best way, you know, like, because I would never say that word. And seriously, the word will never be uttered out of my mouth ever again. It's just a word it means violence. That's a violent
I believe
word
you, man.
people.
I hate the word too, man. I believe you.
Yeah, no, yeah, and and I mean, look, in my lifetime now, man, I got children that ain't white. I've been with girls from Africa, you know what I mean. So if anyone ever questions what my race, my daughter and most of my children now I've dated outside of their I truly believe that, and I'll get to this now. So as I get out of prison, man, I realize, all right, black, Asian, Latino, we're all cool, but I'm still gonna hate the Jews because I still want to be part of this neo-Nazi world because I have so much clout. Yo, I'm 19 years old and I'm a shot caller. For real. Like, you got to think, like, why would I want to leave all my friends, all my crew, a crew that I built? I built that crew. And it's huge now. I moved back to Philly. I'm running my crew again. But
weren't
a
that
lot of
person,
things
were
just weren't. And I'm telling you, man, it was God, science, and human nature. All three of those things, a triangle, changed me. Because it started to show me. And every time I would be like, all right, God, all right, you proved me wrong on this, but I'm still going to do this, right? And then when I had this hatred still of Jews, it kept me part of that movement. Here you go. The last neo-Nazi meeting I'm ever at is the night of the O.J. Simpson Bronco chase. How about that?
That was
I'm
like
in the
my
meeting
sixth.
that night.
That was like my 10th birthday.
That was it, yeah. So that was the night I'm at my last
Bronco
neo-Nazi meeting.
shit, right? That you're talking about?
Yeah.
It was my first sleepover as a kid.
Mm-hmm. I sat there with neo-Nazis and I watched that. I'll never forget that. And then shortly after that, I'm looking for work. Granted, guys, Philly's a tough town, but when you have a swastika on your neck, made in Philly on your head, and skinhead written on your knuckles, and you have an aggravated kidnapping that is part of your adult history of life forever, these ain't good people skills.
Yeah, they're tough to get
HR
around.
doesn't. Yeah, HR isn't like, oh, swastika, definitely management. Definitely. You must really keep the trains on time. You know what I mean? Like, it's not.
Yeah, that's hard.
So
you're what, 19 at this time?
19, just about to go on 20. And a buddy of mine says he can get me a job working at the Cherry Hill, New Jersey Mall. And in the Cherry Hill, New Jersey Mall, he got me this job working for a Jewish guy carrying in and out antique furniture for the weekend. They were having like a weekend antique show there. And the guy goes, we'll pay you $100 a day, plus you'll make tips, Frank. You. And as soon as I said yes, he goes, but I got to tell you to do it. And my friend's a neo-Nazi too. He goes, the guy that hired me, this guy that runs this company, is like a Jew, though, Frank. And I'm like, I was like, I don't care, man. I have no other work prospects right now. Things are kind of holding me down a little bit. And I took the job and I worked for this guy for the weekend. And I made $600 in tips after the 3 days, $200 a day, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Now he owes me $300. And here's that thing that we all do because we're all, unless we're so spiritual, we'll flow that right out of here. We all have resentments of people. And I still had a resentment. This Jewish man, I thought he was not going to pay me. I thought he was, in my anti-Semitic, ignorant way, this man is going to Jew me. End of the weekend, he comes up to pay me, and I'm waiting to have this argument with this Jewish man because he fit every stereotype. He said "oy vey" all the time, and he's always like, "Oy vey," why you break my furniture? He fit so many little stereotypes for me. He walks up and he says, "How much do I owe you?" And I said, $300. I mean, like, I'm ready to fight with this guy. I already planned out a whole fight. He's going to say this, I'm going to say that, I'm going to get him, I'm going to say he's a Jew, whatever.
Donnie does that with
he
me
says,
every time we have a show.
That's good. So he comes up and he gives me the $300 and he gives me an extra $100. And he says, nice work, man. And he goes, hey, I'll give you a ride back to South Philly. I got to go that way anyway because we're in Cherry Hill. And he gives me a ride back over to my neighborhood. He starts to tell me about how this used to be his neighborhood. And his synagogue used to be at Fourth and Shunk. It was his old synagogue when he lived on 6th Street with his dad. It was a Jewish neighborhood. And I was like, I swear to you, I said, oh, that old place, that old building on 4th and... He goes, yeah. It's like, me and my friends burned that down. But we didn't do it because it was a synagogue. We did it because it was an abandoned building. It was mischief night that year. So it had nothing to do with the synagogue. I had been in the synagogue for 30 years. But I happened to say to him, I was like, oh my God, dude, I burned that down. Me and my friends. I apologize. And he's like, oh, I don't care. Whatever. And I was like, we didn't do it. And I instantly, because I was a neo-Nazi, I was like, but we didn't do it because it was Jewish, which is an abandoned building, right? So the guy lets me out of the truck and says, hey, what do you do for a living? I said, nothing. He gives me a job working at his warehouse in Fox Chase, right outside of Northeast.
Yeah, Philly.
And I went up, and I worked up there for, 6 months or so. I'm working for this Jewish guy, still being a neo-Nazi. My buddy's there. He's still a neo-Nazi. But he used to come with the truck, and he would always pick up one employee, and he'd take him to go. You would go with him, and he'd go pick up the furniture, bring it back to the warehouse. They refinish it. But so I was kind of a utility guy around the warehouse anyway.
Frank,
so
let me cut you off one more time. This Jewish guy, I just want to. he accepted. You know, you had the swastika. He knew you were a neo-Nazi, and he knew he was
both of
Jewish.
us were He knew we were both neo-Nazis, and here was his saying. And there's a documentary about me and Keith that's on the internet. If you're, it's super funny.
Send us a link.
But yeah. So there's this documentary about me and Keith where they came back, and it's only a couple years ago, and they asked us questions about what it was like those first days of working with each other. But seriously, guys, this is what he would say. Can I curse on here or no? Not really.
Yeah, you can do whatever the fuck you want. You're with
us.
All right.
Only person watching is my parole officer. Come on.
He knows
my
where
girlfriend
you are.
likes it once in a while.
Maybe the FBI. Who knows? Let's go.
So,
curse. We're ready.
This Jewish man, he just goes like this, man. He goes, Frank, I don't give a fuck what you believe. Just don't break my furniture. And he was dead serious about that. I don't care what you believe. Just do your best job for me. And that's how it was. And I'll tell you, man, I used to go in this truck. Yeah, and I used to go in this truck with this guy, and he was a former heroin addict, got clean and sober, but didn't really practice the program right. No, he just didn't. He was sober, and he started furniture businesses, and now he was like, that's what he did. That was his obsession. He was amazing. It was diabolical in the way he thought about it.
That had to be a wake-up call. I know I read about it in your book, but having this guy accept you, he knew who you were. You didn't hide. You weren't saying like, hey, I'm Frank, I love Jews. You were, you told him who you were. You were straight up. And he accepted you, and he didn't look at you.
Wait, real quick. We just hijacked Toxic Radio. We're going into overtime.
Yeah, Frank, we're not cutting you off. Frank. We get done at 8, but today we're going to get done when you're done.
A little extra time.
All right. Let's give.
We're not.
I'll get you out of here. I'll get you out of here.
I don't fucking care.
Nobody likes Toxic Mike.
Yeah,
all right.
We're staying on air. We ain't cutting you off, Frank. We don't cut off our guests. So that had to be a big... That had to be a big wake-up call for you.
It was. Look, this man, when I would make mistakes, I had that, again, I was an ego, no matter what, I'm still an ego, 19, 20 years old, I'm an egomaniac, no self-esteem, fear everything, fear any responsibility, anything
You're
at all.
describing my teenage years, Frank. Come on.
Right. I'm just happened to be out of prison where I was just in prison with John Wayne Gacy, a serial killer. I'm in the same prison with that guy. Now I'm out on the streets. And this guy gives me a job. And anyway, whenever I would do something, I always go, oh, I'm so stupid. Oh, man, I'm so dumb. And I didn't say it like a skinny girl says, oh, my God, I'm fat. So everyone in the room goes, no, you're not fat. Like, I didn't say, yo, I'm stupid. So everyone goes, no, you're not stupid. He's fat girl. Say it. So, I would just say things. If I made a mistake, if I broke a marble top table, I'm like, oh, my God, I'm so stupid. And one day I just did this, man, in front of Keith and a customer. I was like, oh, my God, I'm so stupid. I really did do something stupid. And so I was like, I'm so stupid, Keith. And I was cleaning up this marble top table that I broke. And he came over to me and he gripped me up, not so the customer could hear me either. It wasn't like he was grand. He came over and he grabbed me, man. And he got me real quick. He says, stop saying you're stupid, you fucking idiot. Clean it up and let's go. And I cleaned up this, and I got into the truck with this man. And we were up in North Jersey by New York. And the whole way home on that Jersey Turnpike, the Garden State, more like a Turnpike State. But we're on that turnpike and we're going down and sitting there, and he just unloaded on me about how smart I was all the time. He said, remember, man, this happened and you figured this out? Who thinks that way? That's brilliant, Frank. He's like, he gave me 3 examples of times that I shocked him or whatever, Now, remember, just to give the timeline, O.J. Simpson trial, O.J. Simpson chase
my
was going
10th
on.
birthday.
So now the
Yep.
Yeah, so now the O.J. Simpson trial is going on while I'm working for Keith. So I'm always reading about DNA and all this other stuff when I'm in the truck with the man driving through Philly and New Jersey. Just read the Daily News, you know what I mean? It's a 3rd grade reading level, so it's not easy.
I miss it.
Anyway, I broke something, and he said that stop saying I'm stupid. And when we were driving home that day, man, he unloads on me, and he drops me off at Market Street, 2nd and Market. And I was either going to have to walk home because it was payday, it was Friday, and I thought he wasn't going to give me my pay because I broke the furniture. And that was always his rule. I'll keep your money, man. You break my furniture. I broke a marble top table. He has to give me an envelope of money. And when I wait for him to give it to me, I'm waiting for him to take some money out of it to say, and he just gave me the whole check, it was cash. He always paid us in cash. And he said, here you go, man. I'll see you Monday.
You know how many times Donnie broke a piece of my furniture? I didn't hold it against him.
I knew this boss paid you in cash. I have a feeling he didn't. He didn't pay his taxes, but that's not here or there.
He breaks furniture. There's nothing he can do.
I break everything, Frank. Let's be honest.
So So man, I went home that day, and that was
the big moment.
That was a change of life moment.
Man. It was I was making, so every racist, even to this day, and I don't know what how political, so I'll just keep it trying tame. But seriously, man, like all racist. Sorry, my son's calling for hockey updates.
Yianni the Greek just left. Our sports expert. I swear to God, he just left the studio. He was cursing. You know, he's supposed to do a segment, but you know, you got to go. He's pissed.
Yeah.
We'll take care of that later.
I owe him an amends, and I will make it. I will tell him I owe him an amends, and I will whatever I can do to make it right.
You don't want him to send the Greeks out. Jesus Christ.
All
right.
So look, that was the day. I seriously, man, I was consistently proven wrong all the time, and I finally had to admit it. Like, I got tired of banging my head against the wall to believe that because of the color of my skin, I am better or worse than anybody else in the world. Like, that is so crazy. For one, just to think that you're a supremacist, let's just take a white supremacist or a black supremacist. If you think you're a supremacist because of the color of your skin, how lazy are you? You've done nothing to achieve that. You didn't get a degree. You didn't get, you're just born that way. It's absolutely one of the most laziest things you can believe that you're superior for is because of the color of your skin. It means you've done nothing. So, I started to realize that, man. And I started to see things that used to make me be racist. Like, I'd see a black guy selling food stamps on a street corner. 50 cents on a dollar, 50 cents on a dollar. And I know, everyone knows what that means. And I look over and I'll be like, see, that's kind of get. And I'll be like, wait a minute, my mom does that. And she does it out of her house, though. She's always sold our food stamps. Now I'm going to judge this man and use the N-word because he matches, like I just.
Shit, before you could, I would have bought them.
Did I? That'd be so. So man, a lot of that started happening. And it took about a year to really have this real change where my mind didn't instantly go there. And I really had gotten to this feeling that like, I cannot judge another human being because we are all children of God.
We are.
I mean, hands down, we are all children of God. We are absolutely equal in and the best things we could do in the way that I realized to enlighten myself to be part of this human race again was that I have to be of service to every human being I come into contact with every day, every moment. When I talk to you guys, I say, I want to be of service to your show, a service to your listeners, right? That's
the first thing you told us, Frank. You said, you're here to make magic happen or whatever. You were great.
Service.
Fuck, there was one day that literally changed my life. I'm driving in a Wawa, right? Just a normal day, driving in a Wawa. Somebody asked me to give them $1. I'm like, fuck off. I'm going in a Wawa. And then I sat there and thought about it. I'm like, this person really needs $1. This $1 could change this person's life. I went out there with $20. I was like, take what you need.
So we all have that life. Talk, Frank.
Yeah, no, real quick, man. I have friends, like, when they see a person on the side of the road asking for change, and they go, he could get a job. You've got a beautiful car right on the corner. He just collect. And I say, me giving it $1 isn't for what he might do with it. It's because it makes the better person out of me for doing it.
Fucking
right?
A
It
lot
doesn't
of
matter.
people, a lot of people can't get a job. That's the thing. That's the fucked up part about it. Like, there's people that are saying that the reason is because they can't get a fucking job. And that's why we help.
And our job is to be of service, not to judge. Right? So if the man needs it, if you don't want to give him $1, don't give him $1. But don't sit there and judge this man.
And don't talk shit to a fucking person. You don't know what they've been through. Fucking, if you want to give them $1, if you want to help out, you want to give to the cause, give them $1. If not, don't fucking put a person down. Frank, they don't deserve that. They're human fucking beings. Sorry.
Tim, Frank, you guys brought up a great point. You're getting into you doing service for people. I wanted to bring up something big. It has to do with that. Yeah. Tell us, the Flyers playoffs are on, man. We want to get into this. Everybody's asking about it. A lot of our fans, a lot of people know you had partnered in the past with the Flyers, and you did something called Harmony Through Hockey. Tell us about what is Harmony Through. What was it? We know, that's like the number one question. Or number like 4 questions.
And that's great. And I love when people want to write about solutions, right? They're like, what's the solution then, right? And that's people wanting to be of service. They're not saying, did this guy really didn't change it? It's like, hey, what's the solution here? And that's amazing. All right, so harmony through hockey. I just took what I learned in sports. I had the chance to have a lunch with Jay Snyder one day. Like I was just newly out of being in the. Still had the swastika on my neck when I met Jay Snyder. Had a lunch with him about. He wanted to talk to me about how I changed, and I said, "Look, I did this with football in prison. I think I can do it with hockey." And the first year, they gave me 20 sets of equipment. They put me in Mount Airy, and then they put me in like West Oak Lane and like a whole bunch of crazy rinks. And
I was just in Mount Airy like 2 seconds ago.
I was there coaching all black kids.
Yeah, I was just there like 4 hours ago.
Right, so it was a crazy thing, and the Flyers were backing me, and so then
they saw something in you though. That was another time. Like your boss Keith, was it?
Yeah.
They saw something in you. That had to be another. Like, hey, man, right when them guys had that faith in you.
Yeah, I think the one thing that people knew about me was that I legitimately changed. You know what I mean? It was no that I changed. Like the movie American Shreks didn't give me no money. I've been a broke. I wrote my book.
That's another
15 years after my change.
Yeah. American History X, man. You got no money out of that?
Nothing. I wrote a book that I get 15 cents a copy on my first book.
That's how I found out about you, man. I found out about your book.
I wrote that 15 years later.
The thing that caught me, it said you were from South Philly. I was like, I got to read this.
Gang, Seal Street.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, we're on 2 Street together. But look, man, I didn't get out and write a book right away. I wrote a book 15 years later. Like I went and I did good things when I got out of the movement. And I'm not judging other former. I just want people to know I didn't get out and go, hey, look at me. I used to do bad shit. Now I don't do it no more. I'm so great for that. Like I knew I had to pay back the world.
Yeah, people don't listen to words, man. Me and Tim, this is what this show is, man.
This is our lives.
People don't listen to words. We're out there in actions. We're in Kensington feeding these drug addicts. We're out there feeding the homeless. We don't tell people. People don't listen to words. They look at actions. I changed my life. We both changed our lives around 5 years ago, but it's been a long road. People are finally seeing what we started 5 years ago. Like you started, years before people actually saw what you were doing because you meant it.
Yeah, and
people who aren't about it,
and then when
they're like, hey, look at me. The fuck out of here.
The guy praying on the street corner. It's the dude praying on the street corner. Just look at me. I'm closer to God because I stream out my prayers. When Jesus and all other religions, they say. Even Jesus says, go be by yourself and pray. You don't need nobody. And and look, I don't want to say I'm very spiritual. That's so overused from the 2000s. But I mean, I have a huge belief in God. I love God, man. I do it. Listen, I'm not super spiritual for doing this shit, but every morning, man, I take a walk from 4 to 6 a.m. to go and do what they call a 6 and 7 step prayer. It's, I can't say anything else other than that. But I go and I do that every morning. I say, God, man, please remove my big shotism. Please remove any dishonesty. Please remove, and for about an hour. And then on the way back, I say, please, God, fill me with humility. Please fill. And I don't do that. And for the 2 hours to be so spiritual. I do that just to be fucking right with the world, man. Just to get me back to par.
That's awesome.
Man. All right, Frank. So we got to wrap this up. Obviously, we're
almost
out of time. This is what I want to ask for you, right?
Go ahead, bro.
What is your advice to somebody who's just wrapped up in hate that just fucking can't get past it? What do you tell them to just be like, all right, you gotta move past this?
Good. I love it. So this is what we need. And again, man, I don't try not to get political on y'all, but for real, like I'm not worried about the white dude who says the N-word anymore. If you look at all my interviews in the last 10 years, I always go back to the same thing. The privatization of prisons, the mass incarceration, and police brutality, man. I know everyone's been talking, but I've been talking about the stop and frisk, and some of my main interviews I've ever done have been on the stop and frisk. So this is what I want to tell people. It is our duty as all human beings to stand up. I know for a fact that the system systematically abuses more minorities. It's a fact. We got 2.4 million people in prison in this country, and most of them are off of drug violations, which are Fourth Amendment issues. And I'm telling you, the police over the years have broken, and I'm getting to the racist part of this, have broken our Fourth Amendment. Please, I want everyone that's listening to the show, go through the research and find this out. Over the years, they slipped more and more laws, not the cops themselves. Of course, it's the lobbyists and unions, and they've broken the Fourth Amendment, and they mostly break it on black people and minority people because they know that they won't fight for their rights and they won't get big lawyers. And so they violate their Fourth Amendment all the time, and that allows bully cops and racist cops to do what they are doing right now. And they are full of fear. That man kneeling on that other man's neck was full of fear when he did it. I know that fear. I truly know that fear. It's being snake bitten. I happen to have, some people say, the anti-venom to hate in me because I was so snake bitten, or the antibodies, a better way. I had the virus of hate in me for so long and truly in me that I truly have an antibody. And there's thousands of people like me. I'm not that special. All right, I'm just a humble servant of God who knows that other children of God are being abused by a system that has more than over 1.5 million more people than anyone else in prison. So we need to all step up. We need to stop. We've been fighting, black people have been fighting the police brutality since the 50s. I mean, way before then, but just the Black Panther movement. It's all due to police brutality, and it's been continuous. And they broke the Fourth Amendment with all the law on war on drugs. And this is what I will end the show with, because we need hope here. When they stopped prohibition on alcohol, only a couple years later, Alcoholics Anonymous was started. One of the greatest altruistic movements to ever touch this earth was the Alcoholics Anonymous in the beginning of the 12-step movement, which is an altruistic movement. What do you think would happen when we lift this prohibition off these drug laws that allows cops to be bullies and has broken the system? You can't have 2.4 million people in prison and not think we are in trouble. We have private prisons, but we can fix this. We are the American people. We can fix whatever. We are so good at getting back up and getting, from when we get knocked down, we are like Rocky. We get back up and we'll figure this problem out, but we have to get the man out of the White House. We have to get some real stability and start changing laws that the police have broken over the years. We just have to go and comb through. The police can stop you and search you if you're on a bicycle right now. Like, they made it that strict. And they have so many little laws that they broke, and mostly using the war on drugs. So for all you racists out there, know that fixing this laws to help black people actually helps all of us. It helps all of us, because that's what happens every time we help black people. We help them get voting rights, the voting and everything changes. We fix things once we make it equal. And all of white America, for a long time, we got into the life raft of America, this great light, and we lifted the ladders out of the water. It's true. And we used the police to guard them ladders so no one else can get in this life raft with us, why everyone drowned it. And it's this movement that we woke. And I mean that for real. This country has woke to realize there's a massive problem. Private prisons is a massive problem. So we woke, and we are now pushing the police, and we are moving them ladders and letting everyone in this thing. And I know this might sound so crazy, but I think this boat, we get everyone equal. We go to a form of enlightenment, and that is our next frontier in this world. And it starts by getting everyone treated equal. The police are bullies. The police have gone out of their way. I know, because they are full of fear. So many of them officers, when they have to go patrol South Central, patrol Watts, they're full of fear. They grew up in the suburbs. They feared them neighborhoods. Now they got to go patrol them after they just got home from doing war, because all of them were military, and they come home with that same mentality, and they got to go patrol the black neighborhood that they think is going to change their neighborhood. So they patrol them with fear. It's got to change. So that's what I say to everybody. Much love and respect, man. Empathy for everybody. This is such a wonderful world. Just be kind to everyone. Be of service. As soon as I walk out my door every day, I'm of service to every human being and creature I come into contact with. My life is better. Love you. Thank you.
Frank, that was amazing. This is why I brought you on, man. Like I said, man, I do my homework. You're amazing. Your words are amazing. Regardless of what anybody thinks, political party, anything, your words mean so much, man. Thank you so much for coming on. And, I hope everybody got something out of that. Thank you, Frank. And have a great night, man. I can't thank you enough, man. Your words were...
Go Flyers, dog.
I felt
Go Flyers.
Let's go Flyers, baby.
Go Flyers, dog. Love you.
Yo, love you, brother. Have a good night. I don't get held speechless a lot, man. I just want anybody, we try to bring everybody together. Regardless, his whole thing is, you you treat everybody regardless of if they're not like you with empathy. So, you don't have to believe everything he believes, but just, he had some great points there. That was amazing. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you, Toxic Mike, for letting us go over.
No, fuck Toxic
We appreciate
Mike.
it.
We'll do what we want.
Thank you, big time Tim Kutches.
Thank you for all listening. Stop glorifying rats. Thank you, Donnie.
And everybody, we appreciate your time. Yianni the Greek, who got out of here to watch the Flyers. Thank you for coming on. Everybody, we will see you next week on Hunger for Hope. We're out of here.
We just broke records. Eat a dick.